The court clerk nearly choked, trying not to laugh, as the jury foreman read the verdict. In favor of the defendant, plus punitive damages. Across the room, HOA President Patricia Garrison sat red-faced, her arm in a sling, as photos of the gaping hole in my living room wall were projected for all to see. She had sued me for injury and emotional distress. The jury decided she should pay me $84,000 instead. My name is David Morrison. I'm a quiet guy who restores vintage, guitars, and keeps to myself. But in the eyes of Patricia Garrison, any homeowner who wasn't a team player was a problem. And by team player, she meant someone who attended every HOA event, paid every special assessment without question, and complimented her hat collection. Patricia ran the Pine Ridge Estates HOA like a personal kingdom. Her favorite activities included measuring grass height with a ruler and sending violation notices in bright red ink. She once fined a neighbor $50 because their garden gnome was facing the wrong direction. It all started when Patricia decided my enclosed patio violated sightline harmony. I had built that patio 5 years ago with city permits, long before the HOA even existed. The structure was legally grandfathered in, a fact I had verified with my lawyer and the city. But Patricia didn't care about legalities when they interfered with her vision of neighborhood uniformity. The first warning letter arrived at 6 a.m., delivered by Patricia herself. It claimed my patio was an eyesore and demanded its immediate removal. I politely informed her of its legal status. She responded that HOA rules superseded all other authorities, which made me laugh out loud. When I refused to comply, the fines began. $100 for non-compliance. $200 for continued defiance. Within 3 months, she claimed I owed over $1,000. I kept every notice in a folder I labeled Patricia's Fantasy Fines and continued to enjoy my perfectly legal patio. The situation escalated. Patricia began parking her SUV in front of my house for hours, taking photos. I once caught her measuring my property line with a tape measure at 11 p.m. She organized meetings specifically to discuss the patio problem, sending flyers to every house but mine. She even hired her cousin, a man whose only qualification was owning a label maker, to write a report on how my patio was destroying the neighborhood's character. I maintained my calm, responding to each move with certified letters from my attorney. This only seemed to infuriate her more. She started leaving passive-aggressive notes on my car and telling neighbors I was a troublemaker. The breaking point came when Patricia announced she'd found a loophole to force me to modify my patio, since I hadn't submitted the original plans. To an HOA that didn't exist when I built it, she claimed the structure was technically in violation. She proposed using HOA funds to hire a contractor to make corrections while I was at work. One afternoon, I was in my kitchen when I heard what sounded like a car crash. I ran into my living room to find Patricia's SUV halfway through my exterior wall, its front bumper resting where my coffee table used to be. Drywall dust covered everything. She stumbled out of the vehicle, still clutching her cell phone. Her first words weren't an apology, but a declaration that I should thank her for discovering this structural hazard. She claimed she was conducting a close proximity inspection when her heel got caught on the gas pedal. The fact that my patio was on the opposite side of the house seemed lost on her. When the police arrived, the officer was unimpressed. His report noted she appeared to have been texting while driving and that tire marks showed she had veered off the road and accelerated towards my house. The damage was extensive. 2 weeks later, while my wall was still covered with a tarp, I received a certified letter. Patricia was suing me for $25,000, claiming personal injury and emotional distress. Her lawsuit alleged that my non-compliant structure had created a visual distraction that caused her accident. My lawyer read the lawsuit 3 times, laughing harder each time. We countersued for property damage, trespassing, and harassment, armed with my meticulous documentation of her entire campaign. His subpoena of her phone records showed she was texting about HOA violations at the exact moment of the crash. Traffic camera footage clearly showed her car making a deliberate turn off the road toward my house. During depositions, Patricia doubled down, insisting that HOA rules were supreme and that non-compliant homeowners were essentially criminals. She even brought a scale model of the neighborhood to demonstrate how my patio disrupted the aesthetic flow. The trial began 6 months later. Patricia arrived in a neck brace and using a cane, neither of which she'd needed at the HOA meeting the previous week. My attorney methodically presented our case: the building permits, the city ordinances, the expert testimony, and the escalating harassment campaign. The security footage of her measuring my property at night drew audible gasps from the jury. When Patricia took the stand, her testimony was a disaster. She insisted HOA presidents had special authority that superseded local government. When asked about texting while driving, she claimed she was conducting urgent HOA business. She even demanded the judge enforce HOA bylaws in his courtroom. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. They not only found in my favor, but awarded me treble damages for willful property destruction and frivolous litigation. The total came to $84,000. Patricia's face turned purple as the number was announced. The judge wasn't finished. He issued a restraining order preventing Patricia from coming within 100 feet of my property and recommended local authorities investigate her abuse of HOA power. His final words were a warning that any further harassment would result in contempt of court charges. Patricia was removed from her position at an emergency meeting the following week. The vote was unanimous. As she was leaving, she tripped over her 4-inch heels and had to be helped up by the very board members who had just voted her out. She threatened to sue everyone present, but was quickly reminded of the judge's warning about frivolous litigation.